Good day. In October 2022, Elon Musk purchased Twitter and changed it. He transformed it to a marketplace for all strands of opinions and voices. Since then, it has become the number one source of news platform in 150 countries. I run a program here where I call it the Twitter Review. As a geopolitical analyst and commentator, I look at the political news that has come into my feed and I give deep dives into it. If you're new to my channel, my name is Ebimo Amungo, and this is Ebimo Amungo's perspective on global affairs. This particular strand is my X review, and this is the X review for today. I am reviewing the news items that fell into my feed. As we all know, Twitter makes it, and all the social media platforms make it that it is your algorithm. The algorithm seeks out your preferences and they run your preferences on your feed. And this is what came into my feed for today. My first story here will be the one where Lavrov is. Yes, this is the first story in our feed today. It says Lavrov criticized Von der Leyen for she promised 1.5 billion for Palestine, but spent 167 billion on Ukraine. The spending on Ukraine has been very big for the European Union, and we know that for the European Union, they have had only one agenda in the past 3 years, the agenda of defeating Russia, supporting Ukraine. That has been their only agenda, and it's only once in a while that they remember other agendas like their climate agenda, the trade discussions and all. They have been laser focused on Ukraine, and all the resources of a large part of their resources in the past 3 years have gone into supporting the Ukrainian war effort, all in the attempt to defeat Russia, bring arm to Russia. And this is what, in this period now when peace, Palestine is very much in the news because of what's going on in Gaza and the recognition Palestine has got from quite a lot of countries in the recent days, 11, I think. In this discussion forum here now, this is what Lavrov had to say regarding it.
Summit, we believe it's a useful initiative that is aimed at fixing the situation when the global governance mechanisms are subdued by the West completely. And, for example, in the International Monetary Fund, the U.S. is hindering the rulings on enhancing the quota for the Global South countries, and in the World Bank, where the West is abusing its authority there. Recently, Ursula Von Der Leyen said that we are going to support Palestine, that Palestine must be restored, and we, the European Union, are going to earmark 1.5 billion euro to restore Palestine. So she said that proudly about this huge amount. But how much do they allocate for Ukraine? Not to restore Ukraine, but to keep it fighting against Russia.
Indeed, Ukraine has got a lot of goodwill. They've got over $350 million, as Trump says, from the US. They've got quite a lot from all the countries. Ukraine's economy is really in a bad place, and Ukraine really does get a lot of funding to prop it up and support it. We should not forget that a lot of the countries who pushed Ukraine into this war have an obligation have a sense that they need to continue to help Ukraine to go through the war with Russia. The next one is the possible, there was a hypersonic missile test in China, and it was visible for everybody to see. Citizens caught it, and it is thought that it is one of the various suits of hypersonic intercontinental missiles that China has. Possible DF-25 missile testing in China. We saw the very big display that China put up recently during their 80th anniversary of the 80th year anniversary against aggression by the Japanese aggression, and we saw that big military parade. We saw a lot of missiles. We saw a lot, and this is one of a test of it. The Chinese have not been shy about showing off their military arsenal. They have a sixth generation plane now that people keep filming. And we should know that the Chinese social media is very big, very big. Weibo is very big. Douyin, which is the Chinese version of TikTok, is very, very big. Don't People should not forget that TikTok is a Chinese social media platform, and Douyin there is also. So the Chinese are very well informed. Contrary to what they say in the West, that the Chinese block a lot of things, the Chinese are very well informed. They have cameras everywhere. They have that big, huge accounts in Douyin, and they put this information out for all of us to see. This one here also is another one about the European Union. The European Union will allocate 2 billion euros to Ukraine for the production of drones using frozen Russian assets, said Ursula Von Der Leyen. This is the new form by which they are trying to continue to prop up support for Ukraine. They have quarantined and frozen over $350 billion of Russian assets. And that asset itself, there's legal problems in taking that asset and using it and supporting Ukraine. But what they've been able to do is they find a way to use the interest from the asset to continue to give to Ukraine. It's with impunity, someone else's assets, they use it there. They have all manners of strategies to continue to support Ukraine. But the Russians feel that that's stealing. They are stealing a lot of their assets. And if they do that, it will mean a lot. A lot of countries are worried about that particular process. And that's why it's a legal discussion that the Belgians have chosen not to be part of. The Belgians is where the repository, the Euroclear is in Belgium. That's where most of the bulk of the funds are held, but they don't particularly support the fact that stealing Russian assets is going to help their own. They feel that there will be blowback on their financial system. So this one here is who would have guessed the winner? The legendary US 452 Bokhanka, which has become the symbol of frontline. Yeah, the Russians one of the things you probably will not know is that the Russians have this ability to continue to produce trucks and cars and vehicles that are very rugged. If you stay in Saudi Arabia, where I stay, and I watch the Dakar race, there is a Kamat truck. That Kamat truck has continued over several years to win the truck category of the Dakar Rally. It's now held in Saudi Arabia. They have a franchise to hold it for a contract to hold it for 10 years, and I watched quite a number of it. It's very strong. The hardiness of Russian vehicles, it has to be that way because a large part of Russia is Siberia, and we know that Siberia is frozen for a larger part of it. Even as we're talking now, it's already snowing in many, many parts of Russia. So they have to make their vehicles very hardy, and this is being used both as civilian and to a large extent, even sometimes in their military. It guides their military philosophy because of the terrain of Russia. And we see it in their military trucks and their BMVs and all that. This one here is about the fact that Italy as a country is not really supporting what's going on as in Palestine, the two-state solution. But what they have been doing as a people is that they've been protesting against their government, and they've also been protesting against Israel. So here we see Italian dock workers vow to shut down all Europe if the global Flotilla is intercepted or attacked before reaching Gaza. This is the fear now. Greta Thunberg and her party, they are getting very, very close to Gaza, and it is expected that they will be attacked by the Israelis. It's almost a certainty that they would be attacked by the Israelis. The whole world is watching this, and at this time when Israel is really constrained because they are losing the image war, the propaganda war. This one year, an attack on many notable figures there. The other day I saw that somebody has joined this party, and it is Mandela's grandson, he too. So with names like that, it will really be a problem for the Israelis, but we know certainly that the Israelis will take action against this group. And the Italian dock workers, not the Italian state, Italy sent 2 ships just to escort to escort this group, but they will not necessarily be intervening should the Israelis be doing anything to them. They're getting close to Gaza. They're about just a few days away from a few hours in fact away from Gaza. A big one happened today, and this is Hegseth called quite all the generals in America to a meeting, and this is what he said to them. He says America Secretary of War calls on rapid U.S. military buildup. We must be prepared. You feel it. I feel it. This is the moment of urgency, mounting urgency. Enemies gather. Let's hear what he had to say.
Bombers. It requires more innovation, more AI in everything and ahead of the curve. More cyber effects, more counter UAS, more space, more speed. America is the strongest, but we need to get stronger and quickly. The time is now, and the cause is urgent. The moment requires restoring and refocusing our defense industrial base, our shipbuilding industry, and onshoring all critical components. It requires, as President Trump has done, getting our allies and partners to step up and share the burden. America cannot do everything. The free world requires allies with real hard power.
Yes, so this meeting is going on now, and he called a lot of these generals, and they are discussing. Obviously, he's telling them about the changing face of warfare, how they need to be prepared. We know that America has prioritized a conflict with China, but I guess the display China put up recently in their military arsenal has shown that this war is not going to be an easy one, because the Chinese have invested heavily on missile systems. They have also invested in all the suites of weaponry that will help their defense of their homeland. We should remember that China is particularly defensive looking in its military posture. It's not aggressive in its military posture towards conquering other countries, but it does have a lot, and it's a constraint to America, especially now as we know that the Ukraine war has shown us that it is drones particularly that is a very defining part of modern day warfare. Yes, quite a lot of people's accounts have been blocked regarding this Somod Flotilla that is going to Gaza. This is Greta Thunberg, and my ex account has been blocked. Please help me in commenting 3 dots to break the algorithm. We talked about that already. The next one here is about an Tajik old man from Xinjiang who spent his whole life guarding the country's remote northeast border. His lifelong dream was to visit Tiananmen Square in Beijing, but his health made the journey impossible. Moved by his devotion, a painter painted a picture of Tiananmen for him. His dream, though not traveled, has finally been achieved. The Tiananmen Square, the Heavenly Palace, where the Qing Dynasty kings, emperors of China used to live. It's called the Forbidden Palace. It's a very major place for China. Most Chinese go there to try and see it. They go there, they make pilgrimage to it. It's the Forbidden Palace is in the Tiananmen Square in Beijing. Very beautiful. I've been there. I've seen it. Thought it is very, very big. I think it's one of the World Heritage Sites. I'm not so sure, but it is one of the United Nations World Heritage Sites. Cuba's president, China has shown inclusive development and shared prosperity are possible. It has forged a shield strong enough to check imperialist recklessness. Fidel Castro once hailed Xi as one of the most capable revolutionary leaders. Indeed, China has moved a lot of people out of poverty. We know that China moved 800 million people out of poverty. They have done a lot, and China's rise has been one of the few in history. You probably will not have seen a situation where a country moves into prominence, moves into world leadership without conquering anybody, without military means. It's a development that has not been recorded in history the way Chinese have really done it. They've become a global hegemon and a power broker by a means that is not common to the world. Countries tended to conquer, But now China has the leading trading partner of 120 countries. They've moved away from poverty. They are technologically advanced and innovating, and this is what the Cuban president is just asserting to. Some of the mapping sites, very, very informative in knowing what's going on in the war in Ukraine. Russia is continuing their strike on the Ukrainian crossing between western suburb of Kherson, Korobini Island. The strike was carried out by KH-39 missile. In the first video, we can see how two badges were lined up. We get to see this all the time. This is one of the things that Twitter and Telegram and all these channels, all these social media platforms that have very, very strong-willed ownership, like Elon Musk and Durov for Telegraph. They create access to information for everybody in the world and break the narrative has been put out there by the legacy media. The legacy media would want you to believe that the Russians are losing and they have no place in this war. They are very much challenged in the war, but it's not so. It is in the Telegram. In fact, the Ukrainians use Telegram to show their own successes, just the same way that the Russians use Telegram and X to show their own successes. And this is one of the most streamed and live action wars ever, where we see all sides of the war, the successes and the failures. So anybody who is not a lazy person who really wants to know what's going on with the war can really have access. And they have so many mapping sites on there. AMK mapping is one of them. They have one that is a deep state, I think. That's a Ukrainian mapping. So they have the Ukrainian leaning mapping projects, then they have the Russian leaning mapping projects, and they have some that are quite they stay in the middle of things. Zelensky says that people should stay as human shields in cities. Really?
Буде всюди смерть. І це ваш вибір. Ви можете вийти і сказати, дивись, сьогодні прилетіла ракета, друга, третя. Нам здається, що це буде і завтра.
Well,
Нам здається, що буде...
I don't know how that will work out, but the Russians have made it a point of duty in this war not to attack civilians. They tend now, just because what has happened in Ukraine is that they have an itinerary drone manufacturing industry. They have artisanal drone manufacturing industry. Most of them are done in apartments, in basements, and when the Russians get coordinates of where one of such factories is building drones, they tend to attack it. But generally, it has been agreed that a large part of the time, the Russians avoid hitting military civilian targets. That is the general consensus for those people who are not too biased about this war. Someone is criticizing the Romanian president here. Well, obviously, he may not know much about protocol. So I guess, because one of the things people forget is that politicians are not military people. They get into it, they are ordinary workers, but when they win elections, they now have to go into performing institutional protocols that they have to learn. They have to learn it, and it takes a while to learn it. So obviously, the new Romanian president is finding it difficult understanding the protocols because he may not have been a career politician, and they are teasing him. We know that this is not who should have been the president of Romania. Romania and Moldova and all those countries within the eastern fringes of Europe are seriously compromised in the influence that the West has. The West weighed in very heavily in the Romanian elections, and they made sure that the candidate who would have been the president of Romania, who won the first round of elections, was first of all denied that right, and then was banned from taking part in the second part of the elections. Anyway, so criticisms of the actions of this Romanian president. Another view of China: children playing in a playground. Oh, really? This is on a military. This is on a naval. This is on a naval ship. Obviously, they opened it up to the public to come and play. I did see some images of naval personnel and naval officers playing with the children. But is this a playground? Oh, the Navy opened up access to one of their ships. China has the largest fleet of ships in the world by numbers, not by tonnage, and their navy really is the biggest in the world, and it's growing rapidly. In fact, it came out an image the other day now that China may have started work on their fourth aircraft carrier. They just commissioned and put into service the Funjian. The Funjian, the third aircraft carrier, was the one that now has technology that only America used to have on their aircraft carriers. The fact that the Chinese build the most amount of ships, civilian and military, means. But when they create this kind of interactions and they create one where the civilian populace have access to the naval weaponry like this, it tends to help them to get those kids interested in it. After dinner in the financial district, I called a robo taxi home and it pulled up behind another robo taxi. They're everywhere. Yes, if you live in Austin, Texas, you will know about in cities like Austin and San Francisco, you will know about self-driving cars like Waymo and now Tesla. Tesla cars are everywhere. Elon Musk leads technology in many domains. He's one of the ones who's leading. Now he has inserted himself into the AI. Grok is now the leading AI bot AI model out there. Grok 1, Grok 2, Grok 4. He has even incorporated Grok into the Tesla cars, and this is the new reality the world is going into. Robo taxis. You hail a cab, the cab comes in, and there's no driver, and you get into it. It's very common in China, though. Chinese too are also leading in this particular technology, but it's new to America. We should understand America is very litigious. It took a lot of practice training, because if any of these cars hit anybody, there's a big law case. And for Elon is not the world's favorite in terms of the legacy media. So there will be big media problems for him. But he has rolled out in several cities: Phoenix, Arizona, San Francisco, and Austin, Texas. Is expanding it, and these cars are getting to be everywhere now. The next story I have here now is breakthrough. Top Russian diplomat Roman Bobusky on India in Russian army. Problem of great mutual concern. Russian army doesn't need Indians to fight. We have never recruited intentionally. Points to India embassy in Moscow. Defense ministry mechanism to resolve issues. And whatever the issue here, I really don't know much about.
Another problem is the way how Indians are, living there. To the larger extent, it is sometimes the illegal activities of recruitment agencies which need to be tackled. In some cases, it's the people who are luring themselves by the beliefs of high salary or some getting the Russian citizenship, and when they face the reality, they want back, certainly. So each and every case we try to help to the extent we can hear from the embassy. Although,
oh yes, there was a report once recently that some Indians were being recruited into the Russian army. Apparently, what he is responding to here is that they don't need them in the Russian army. The Russian army does have a lot of voluntary conscription by a lot of Russians. They have almost 30,000 people coming in voluntarily to be part of the army. But the Indians are needed in a lot of. There's shortfall, manpower shortfall all over Russia as regards to certain other domains, especially in manufacturing. But we should also understand that India is under pressure. Their primary and first destination will always be China, America. They all want to come to America. They are skilled manpower. They are very, very skilled. They have technical know-how. But obviously, they may not have access to America now, so they are exploring Russia. Probably they are not so keen on moving towards China yet. And they are being recruited into Russia by many means. Some also may be promising them that they are needed in the Russian military. The Russian military does pay very, very well, and everybody. The other day we saw a Kenyan that was also caught by the Ukrainians. Hebrew media outlet says that Hadeshot Bazman reports that a Mossad agent has been evacuated from Ichovlov Hospital following what they described as difficult events. It's the war in Gaza it's an ongoing one. It's a difficult one for the Israelis, but they are intent on it. Caroline Levitt says, as exposed Nancy Pelosi for having 100 and yes, this is one of the things we find with the American Congress. People go into the Congress poor and they come out rich because somehow, because of the synergy and relationship they have, especially Democratic legislators, if I may say so, they do come out very wealthy. And it is this that is leading to accusations from the Republicans that Democratic legislators, it's both ways, it's bipartisan, that they tended to have insider information as regards to what may be announcements to be made by companies, and this helps boost their portfolio. So Nancy Pelosi, the former speaker, very, very virulent opponent of President Donald Trump, has been fingered as one of the beneficiaries of such a scheme where they get insider information. And this is one thing that Caroline Levitt, President Trump's press secretary, has always hammered on. Let's listen to
113 million. In 2024, Nancy Pelosi's stock portfolio, this was a fascinating statistic to me, grew 70% in 1 year in 2024, and her portfolio outperformed every single large hedge fund in that same year, and even more than doubled the returns of Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway. So I think the president stands with the American people on this. He doesn't want to see people like Nancy Pelosi enriching themselves off of public service and ripping off their constituents in the...
Yes, so Nancy Pelosi is feeling the heat. Yeah, we have a situation. I think it's maybe General Petraeus, but I may be wrong. Let me see. It says Stoltenberg calls for alliance to accept Ukraine into NATO. Oh yeah, this is the former Secretary General of NATO, Stoltenberg. He is saying that NATO, Ukraine, this is the cause of the war in the first instance, but it's the countries are doubled down, and this is what's caused the war. Europe, Western Europe, and the EU and NATO wants Ukraine. Russia says Ukraine, being a member of NATO, is a threat to us.
And therefore, I believe we should still, NATO and Russia is a kind of smaller and smaller. Before 2022, we thought it was possible to be somewhere in between, like Georgia, Ukraine, and these other countries. I think what we have seen is that either you are covered by NATO security guarantees or you're in a very dangerous place. And therefore, I believe we should still stand by our commitment we made in 2000.
Yes, they really want. Some countries have had long histories, especially with the Soviet Union and with historically with the Russian Empire. The moment the Soviet Union collapsed, they saw it as an opportunity to move west and join an alliance, the only existing alliance then that will protect them and shield them from the Soviet Union. It turns out the Baltic countries that bordered the Soviet Union, that border Russia directly, joined it, and by that, these small countries with populations of 1.1 million, 2 million had agency, and they become very belligerent, very, very belligerent against Russia because of their membership of NATO. They've moved into institutions that have big Russian populations with institutions that have antipathy towards Russia, like the EU. And when it came to Ukraine and Georgia, countries that border Russia, Russia was not happy about it. The Baltic countries, though, got into NATO at a time Russia was very weak. They were the first wave in 2004 to get into NATO. This attempt to bring Ukraine into Russia is the whole cause of this war, and it is the refusal. It's a test of will now, and it's obviously a test of will that the NATO countries are not giving up on. They see it as a battering ram against Russia. They are continuing on it, but Russia is very determined not to allow that to happen, and that's why we have this war. It's a test of will. So far, the Russians are winning, and NATO have found themselves in a bad place. Ukraine is being destroyed. But that doesn't matter to a lot of the countries there. European Council Costa declared Russia is a threat to every country in the world. Something tells me Europe is turning into a jungle without any help from Russia and Putin. European officials are doing a wonderful job of turning a flourishing garden into wild. The anti-Russian posture of
destroyed cities and fueled global insecurity. Our collective security is tied to Ukraine's resilience. The European Union stands firm in supporting Ukraine in their fight for a just and lasting peace. In their effort,
this is it. The European Unions feel that they are doing something very good, but the Russians, and they are so determined, so focused, they just chose not to listen to the point of view of the Russians that you are a threat to us. They don't feel that Russia has that right to determine who is a threat to them. So in all effects, they disrespect Russia, and they are finding out now. Unfortunately, Europe has lost quite a lot. Europe is not the Europe of 20 years ago when they were a very big part of the global hegemon project then led by America. Now their economics is being impacted very heavily by this war, but they are doubling down. And Russia has moved on, made new friends. India and China they are not yet become parts of alliances like BRICS and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and have reindustrialized and remotivated their economy. Europe is being left behind, but they are focused on this war, and it is causing them a lot of harm. Here, Elon Musk says we are building Gropedia. Elon Musk is one of the most, if not the most consequential human being in this modern era. He has views that are strong, and he jumps in. One of the things people forget about Elon Musk is not that he's rich, but that he's able to put together teams that come up with Tesla, teams that come up with Starlink, teams that come up with SpaceX. He creates these teams in very disparate places, and now he says he has come up with the XAI, and XAI is now leading with Grok. So he says we are going to build a Gropedia, will be a massive improvement over Wikipedia. Frankly, it is a necessary step towards XAI goal of understanding the universe. Wikipedia, this is David Sachs. David Sachs is one of the President Trump's very, very close technologists. I think he's an aide to President Trump. Wikipedia is hopelessly biased. An army of left-wing activists maintain the bios and fight reasonable corrections. This is true. Wikipedia has been really, really taken over by people who enforce their opinions and all on it. We will end with this tool next post in the feed here. This one is Palestine Islamic Jihad Secretary General Zayed Nakala said that the announcement by US President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu is an American-Israeli agreement, and it mirrors Israel's position in full. I guess, and after I saw this agreement, I was very sure that Hamas would not accept it. And here, Islamic Jihad, the second biggest opponent of Israel in Palestine, there has also said they are not going to accept it. They feel that it is a complete position. It mirrors completely the position of Israel. It says Hamas should be disarmed. It disenfranchises the Palestinians. It's very far away from a Palestinian state, and it even strips them of the ability to administer themselves. Yeah, in a meeting with his trade, I think his trade minister, maybe, Putin had a big laugh when his trade minister, or whoever it was there, one of his ministers reporting, was giving figures of the impressive exports of pork by Russia.
5,5 миллионов тонн в год производят свинины, из них почти 3 миллиона на экспорт во все страны. И прежде всего Китай, Индонезия, отчасти Япония, Корея и так далее. Поэтому, конечно, нам ни в коем случае нельзя останавливаться и по свинине. Нам нужно наращивать объемы.
They don't eat pork in Indonesia. Yes, indeed, they don't eat pork in Indonesia. Indonesia is the largest Muslim country in the world, and it was pointed out by Putin. You see, Putin, one of the things people who are close to Putin tell you is that he's very meticulous. A lot of times they say that he's been very meticulous and very full of details because of his time as a KGB agent. So he pointed out to his trade minister, who was reeling out figures of all the great exports they have been making. Already I've been saying that they've been exporting a lot of suite of products, but when he mentioned Indonesia as a recipient of pork, Putin laughed. the officials always try to impress, and the president caught him clearly there that you are making this is a little fib, a lie. In Indonesia, they don't eat pork. You are not sending that much amount of volume to Indonesia. Well, this will be where I will stop for today as regards to the news, geopolitical deep dive I've just had regarding the news that came into my news feed in X. My X review is growing every day. The numbers are going up. I thank you for supporting it. It's unique. This is, I don't know of any other channel that does something like an X review. I think this is very unique to my channel. And my own position is regarding geopolitical commentary, and we get broader view of things. This is the whole idea of it, deep dive, to give a broader view of the geopolitical happenings and where every country's interest plays. And most important thing in geopolitics is how can you enforce your will? What kind of alliances do you make to be able to stave off the rabid and unending interests of all those who are around you? And how do you be on top of politics and on top of controlling your own affairs? These days, the great word is sovereignty. A lot of countries are asserting their sovereignty. Iran is asserting its sovereignty. Russia is asserting its sovereignty. China definitely is asserting its sovereignty. It never used to be so, but now it is becoming so. And we are seeing all the geopolitical moves to either take it away from you or give it to you, like it's happening in Palestine. This is where I end my video for today. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe. If you have any views regarding the opinions I just expressed, please put them in the comment section. Do well to like and share. Until I see you in my next video. Goodbye.